Okay, hi everyone. My name is Gretgrix, and I'm going to take you through my final assignment for the digital graphic design course. And so it is a promotion campaign launch for an event called Bendigo Health Week. So in this presentation, I'm going to take you through who Bendigo Health is and the work that they asked me to do, the design problems that came out of my reverse brief, and how I decided to tackle them, which I will show through a mood board, the brand guidelines that I wanted to follow or needed to follow, the design assets themselves, the first round, and then the evolution of them after feedback, and a few little references at the end. So I'll start off with who Bendigo Health is. So they are a public health service that sit primarily in Bendigo, but they do have sites in Castlemaine, Echuca, Swan Hill, and Mildura, which is in the Loddon Mallee region of Victoria. And they cover a lot of healthcare providers. So they cover emergency medicine, surgical, paediatrics, cancer care, psych services, and aged care. And also, as part of that, they do have domestic services, so food assistance, gardeners, all that sort of stuff that keep the hospital going. So in light of that, they actually had a lot of people coming to them saying that they had a lot of the services wanting to promote every single event that comes up. So World Kidney Day and International Nurses Day, all of that sort of thing. And the corporate affairs team who do the comms and marketing for Bendigo Health said, we don't have time to do all of that every single day because there's one literally every day. So they came up with the idea for Bendigo Health Week, which was 4 days in November that they wanted to promote each sort of aspect of the hospital, the health service. So they decided to cover medical, admin, volunteers, and domestic services in that event. And so they wanted to make sure that they were covering all their bases and making sure that staff not only knew who they were working with, but the public also knew. So the design problem that they came to me with was the promotion of the event itself. So this event, obviously the target audience would be patients, primarily probably staff for first and foremost, because they wanted to make sure that staff knew that, they weren't siloed in the work that they do. So yes, of course, nurses and doctors and surgeons are the main people that you think of when you think of a health service, but there are also domestic and food services people. There are maintenance men and women and people and all the other services. So coming together to showcase all the different sides of the hospital, as well as the general public and potential patients. So showing what services the hospital provides to the community, and just showing that they are people that you can interact with. So in my reverse brief, I had a look at sort of the communication preferences and that Bendigo Health had, and I found that social media and Facebook was the main driver for the public, because they sort of have that older target audience primarily. So Facebook would be one of the easier ways to get to those people. So I wanted to do one of my design assets was a Facebook banner, because if I was to do just a Facebook post, it would get lost. So I wanted to make sure it sits at the top of the profile and make sure that everyone sees it in the lead up to the event. We also have staff as one of our main target audiences, and they're all very, very busy people. They don't like, not that they don't like to read emails, but emails, they just don't have time. So we do have a lot of desktop computers across the service. So having a desktop screen banner that we could have up before people go and do their clinical notes or do their paperwork on their computer, they can see that the event's coming up. And it's just a kind of subtle way of us telling staff that this thing is on. So as you can see, the technical aspects that I'll be working to were the Facebook banner and the desktop screen. That is the actual aspects of the computer screens that we have. So I worked in with the guidelines that Bendigo Health provided me, the brand guidelines. And so the main parts that I focused on were obviously the logo was very important, because everyone in the community would recognize that logo. So it was good to have specifications on how and when to use the logo. So obviously you can't stretch it. There was an old logo there, the burgundy one, that they don't use anymore, making sure that it is at least 30 millimeters when using it, and how close to the edge of a design that the logo can be. You don't want it to be cut off when you're putting it anywhere. And also they gave me specifications on if we're doing projects with other companies, to make sure that their logo and our logo are the same size. So that was fantastic. Typography was an important part as well. The Bendigo Health have literally just changed the fonts and typography that they use. So they used to use Elwyn and SansSource Pro, as Elwyn was their headline or heading font, and then SansSource Pro was all of the paragraph font. So they changed it to Arial, because Arial Bold and Arial Regular, because it was more accessible to staff, and it's found on a lot of programs, and it was just easier to read, a lot easier to get access to. So they were important, and there's an example on the right hand side there of using the fonts in a post that they put together for Facebook. And the other important part was photos. So Bendigo Health said we want to make sure that the photos that we use have staff in uniform if possible, staff and volunteers, and making sure that they're happy, showing that when patients come and talk to these staff members, that they are approachable, and also showing them engaging with patients in the photos. As you can see there, they're all very happy. They look very happy to be there. They're all having conversations with the patients, so it's just showing how engaging they can be. So, and it also is a nice photo to look at when people are looking happy. So I created this mood board in response to my reverse brief, and as you can see there's a lot of the fonts that I would use. The big swoop on the left hand side, which is the two blues, and the logo was very important because that's used in a lot of other designs that Bendigo Health do, and all of their letterheads and Word documents all have that swoop on it. So it was important to make sure that we still use that as well in those colours. All the icons are there as well that I used to showcase the different disciplines that would be covered off in Bendigo Health Week. It's just an easier way than just using photographs, which photographs are obviously the main part, but using these little icons was important as well. And all in the different colours of the colour palette, as well as an example of photos, and also the competitors and what they're doing. So as you can see, St John of God down there and Grampians Health both use the same font every time, and they're using engaging photos. So that's what was important to me. So the first design for my first asset was the Facebook banner, and this is the first go at it. In its mock-up, so that was quite a good experience, as well as my desktop screen. So they're the two assets that I did, as well as obviously the slide deck that you're going through at the moment. So when I was going through the first design, I got feedback from my mentor who said, because it's sitting on the Facebook page, it already has the logo as the profile picture. So I didn't have to have also the logo in the design because it would double up. There was also not a lot of room. A lot of white was quite boring. So I decided in my second evolution of the design to move the writing up so it wouldn't get cut off, because I had that problem a few times by the profile picture. I also wanted to make it more engaging and exciting, so I put a photograph on the right hand side, which can be moved, changed out for another photo of someone else or another aspect of the event, as well as including the icons down the bottom to show the 4 different aspects that would be covered, and also using more of the Bendigo Health blue. So that was from feedback from the mentor. So that's what I did. And design the asset too. I got feedback to say just to be careful of the photograph that I was using, and making sure that I put it up as the desktop reference. So I changed the photograph to have less people, so it wasn't as so many people. I made sure that the photograph that I did use, the volunteer that you can see in the bottom left is the new asset, and she's actually looking down at the patient, but she's also, her eye line is going towards the wording. So I just wanted to make sure that people could have a look and make sure that their eye line also went where the volunteer's eye line is going. And I also made the font, the type for the Bendigo Health Week down the bottom. I made it bigger so it stood out a bit more, as well as bolded the date, because they were the two important parts of it. So yes, there we go. That was my design assets and my references. So the brand guidelines for Bendigo Health, the corporate affairs team, who are fantastic, and Kate Minotti, who is part of that team. But there are a lot of her photos. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.